Hey, what's up, yos? This is Matt with another comic review for the Uncanny X-Men 321, also known as Legion Quest 3, which is, as you know by now, the prelude to the Age of Apocalypse stretch. The X-Men Age of Apocalypse stretch, which is basically a crossover, a Marvel Universe crossover, essentially, that has a lot to it. But Legion Quest 3, the cover has Bishop and Cable on it. Cable obviously using his telepathic eye powers to sort of, get into Bishop's brain or whatever. I do recall now, if you watch my previous reviews, I couldn't recall exactly why Cable was needed for this in general, but anyway, let's get on with it. The book starts with Xavier and Magneto drinking in a bar, basically discussing kind of their own personal views on Homo sapiens superior, which is at this point what they're calling the mutants, because they haven't exactly emerged in a popular culture and yet, and I'm not sure at this point that Xavier and Magneto actually know who each other is, according to their powers. They just think that they're a couple of dudes and they're buddies and they're out drinking together. But I kind of like this sequence because this adds character to everything, really. It's they're just in a bar talking. There's a woman. There's a man who's disabled. He has no shins, it appears, and he's kind of just trying to do what he can to make money. And as you could see here, this big fat drunk dude just kind of walks over and dumps some beer on this dude's head while he's just basically trying to make some money because he's disabled. And Xavier notices, and he's quite upset, and Magneto's just like, maybe you should stay out of this one. But Xavier does no such thing. He goes up to the big fella and he is not happy. He's doing something to his wrists there, to his fingers, and pressing them up against the table. And I like this because it gives character to Xavier, and it really lends more to this story, because again, it seems as though Legion is too much of a villain, and it also seems as though the X-Men, I don't know, like, they've always seemed a little bit small time to me. Like, obviously they deal with things like the Shi'ar and Apocalypse and really big things, but I just always preferred to leave the X-Men in my mind as more of an underground Marvel title than, say, the Avengers would be, like out in the everybody's eyesight, so to speak. But yeah, I really like how they're playing up Xavier. Like, he's a badass. He's able to utilize his mind capabilities, cognitive capabilities, to fight better and physically dominate his adversaries here in the bar, which I really like. And then Magneto is kind of squaring off against this big dude here, and this guy just kind of lays it into him. He just punches him in the face. And Magneto kind of gives a little remark that says, my friend here, Xavier, was trained to fight in the Orient, meaning he's disciplined, and maybe he would be a little bit merciful. But Magneto has no such luck, being a very, very rough person at a young age. Having to deal with the hardships that he did when he was younger is very rough. He's got no remorse. He's just kind of ruthless, and they go at it. They start fighting. Things kind of come to a close, and and that's basically, I mean, it's just kind of a simple scene, but I really do like what it does for this story. Because, see, on the very next page, you have things like this alternative X-Men group in the present time have gathered with the Shi'ar and have basically built this gigantic machine that is going to be used to travel back into the past temporarily, very, very temporarily, momentarily actually, to send Cable alone into the past to warn the X-Men that have been stuck back there of what their mission actually was, to stop Legion from killing Magneto or causing any damage to the time continuum in general. So basically we have some character build up last minute with Rogue and Gambit, or some closure, I should say, character closure, because at this point they're leading everybody on to believe that this is the end of the universe. Angel is really kind of stressed out because he's in love with Psylocke, and she's in the past. And as you know, Cyclops and Jean Grey are boning, as always. So everybody's just kind of shocked about what's happening here, and they spark up the machine, which is located underneath the Shi'ar craft, and it's going apeshit because what they're doing with this machine is they're putting 3 people inside of it who are telepaths, very powerful. It's got Cable, Jean Grey, and Charles Xavier, and it's kind of like a telepath generator, so they can all just focus their powers and send Cable back into the past temporarily, because that's kind of his thing. He's a time traveler. So yeah, this is Haifa 20 years ago again, and we're going back to see, I really like how they did this. Like, they could have just as easily just went back into the past, not forgot who they were, tried to fight Legion, and that's it. You know, that's the story. We're in the past with you, and now we're fighting you again like we were in the present. But what they chose to do was change everything. So, you know, even before everything's changed for the Age of Apocalypse, it's kind of really dramatically turned around here too, because you have Bobby Drake, Bishop, Storm, Psylocke all in the past, Amnesia, and they have to like take on jobs here at a dock in order to survive, while they try to remember what exactly they're doing there. And they have a moment alone, so Iceman is showing what his true form actually is. And Psylocke is just, I mean, they're all just kind of talking here. I haven't read this before I started reviewing it, so it's been a while, so I'm just kind of generalizing. Yeah, here's a part that's pretty screwed up. I was wondering about this. They're showing this this landscape, if you will, of Legion's mother in the past, kind of waiting for Charles Xavier because they know each other in Haifa and whatnot. But Legion shows up instead, and he says "Mother," and she looks up, really surprised, like, "Who's that?" You know, sort of thing, because she was expecting Charles Xavier. Well, what happens is he changes himself into Charles Xavier. And she's like, "Oh man, that's crazy. You didn't sound like him a second ago, but okay." And she's kind of creeped out, and he starts kissing her and shit. And it's like, wait, that's your mother. So it's pretty messed up, because that's his mother. And it obviously, they're doing this to really kind of make you hate the character, to kind of villainize him, which I like, but at the same time it is kind of disturbing. And I didn't kind of catch that before, or maybe I did, but whatever, I thought I'd point it out. It is a good, useful tool in lending to his villainous properties, so I like it for that aspect, but it is very disturbing. And kind of destroys her character slightly. They don't actually allude to the fact that they might have had sex or not, but it's still pretty messed up. But basically we have them back at work again, kind of going about their business once more, working at the docks. And then what happens next is Cable, of course, is kind of shooting up out of nowhere. Oh wait, it's this page. He comes down in a pink psionic stream of energy, and everybody's naturally freaked. He's like, okay, I finally made it here. Storm and Iceman are attacking him, or Iceman attacks him for some reason, and everybody's just kind of rushing to this sudden interruption. Excuse me. And eventually Cable is able to lay a hand on Bishop. Being the telepath he is, gets him to remember shit. Being the telepath that she is, Psylocke becomes affected as well. So that's basically it in a nutshell. The issue ends with Legion coming upon Magneto and Charles Xavier basically calling him out and saying, I'm here to kill you. In the future, you're Jagoff, and we're putting a stop to that right now. And right here, again, something that I really enjoyed when I was younger, and to this day, is kind of the first preview page that they had. X-Men suspended. All these titles are going to change into these titles, and boom, the first appearance of the very first X-Men Age of Apocalypse Omega issue. So that's exciting. I'm excited to get to that stuff because that stuff is a whole lot more interesting than Legion Quest. That's why I like it so much, because the Age of Apocalypse is so set apart from the actual continuity and realms of Marvel itself and X-Men, more or less. But yeah, it's really unique. It's pretty epic, to say the least, and I hope you guys enjoy it as much as I do.